Well, everybody, here we have it, the brand new Samsung Fold 8 in the wide form factor. This thing is absolutely amazing, and if it's anything like what Apple has cooking, I think we gotta take a look at this thing. Let's get into it. So for this, I mostly want to talk about the actual form factor, the design, the spec, the screen sizes, and everything that they decided to go with, because this is a brand new category of folding phone for Samsung and for the masses, especially here in the US, where there really isn't a ton of optionality aside from maybe the Fold 7 and also the flip form factor. We've never had this really in-between one, at least not from a major player. So it's interesting to see all the decisions that they made moving forward, and I do think that this is kind of the sweet spot for most people where we're going to see that Venn diagram really overlap, because on one side you have the Fold 7 or the Fold 8 Ultra now that they're calling it, which is all about productivity and being the most ultra version of what a foldable can be, of course with that aspect ratio and the square form factor when it's opened. But again, that one's mostly for productivity, being able to have two apps side by side, being able to get a bunch of stuff done with just one phone. And then you have the flip side, right? Literally, no pun intended, where it's a much smaller and more compact form factor. It's for more of a creativity and personalization type of phone where you're not really worried too much about the actual productivity nature of it. You just want it to be able to do everything you need it to do from a smartphone form factor. But this Fold 8 with this kind of sandwich style, hamburger style, and book style foldable, like I said, it's the perfect middle ground for most people that just want to have the best of both worlds. So let's first start off with the display and the form factor that they went with, because they could have gone a bunch of different aspect ratios in a bunch of different directions, but they landed on a 10:16 aspect ratio on the front with a 5.5-inch AMOLED display that is LTPO and 120 Hz. And then the inner display, the same exact display text, we're talking LTPO, 120 Hz, but it's going to be 7.6 inches diagonally. And now the aspect ratio on that one, when you are holding it in landscape mode, is 4:3. So again, from a viewing standpoint, you're going to be able to use much more of the screen real estate. It's almost like it was purpose made to watch the Odyssey in IMAX because of that tall aspect ratio. And then of course, if you turn it into kind of like the booklet style, which is probably the perfect e-reader size, it's going to be the opposite at 3:4. So again, that is the aspect ratios they went with and the screen sizes, which again, could be a good insinuation and inference into what Apple's doing with their iPhone Ultra or iPhone Fold when that does come out. What's really impressive, again, is the hardware and how thin and compact they were able to make this. So first off, this is right over 200 grams at 201 grams with this phone, which is absolutely insane for the amount of phone that you're getting. And then from a thinness standpoint, they were able to make this thing ultra thin because they're using a brand new titanium alloy for the display underneath it, making it much slimmer, but then also much more durable. And from a crease standpoint, it's almost non-existent. So again, if you are looking for something that's going to be nearly creaseless, again, this is still just the day one of having it. So maybe over time, it could start to kind of give you a little bit more of a crease, but out of the box, this thing is insane with the lack of crease in here. It's almost, again, it is not visible to the naked eye. And then the hinge. The hinge is what's got me super impressed. First off, you are able to have it in kind of like that laptop mode and that viewing mode to be able to take advantage of that. But then also once you reach a certain point, it auto snaps into place, giving you a perfectly level display. But then also that hinge is very confidence inducing, very easy to use, very self-explanatory. And then just the one-handability of it all, right? I know that's not a real word, but the front of it is still big enough to be able to get everything you need to get done from a productivity standpoint for the 5.5-inch display. But like the squatted down nature of it is actually more beneficial, especially for typing. When you are typing on this thing, the keyboard feels a little bit more natural. It makes it much easier to go around. Now from a one-handed thumb swipe keyboard situation, maybe it's a little bit too wide because that's how I use my current iPhone. But for two-handed use to get some real quick typing done, absolutely amazing. And then with this phone specifically, from a camera standpoint, you have two 10-megapixel selfie cameras, one on the front display and then one on the inner display. And then you do have two main sensors on the rear. Both of these are going to be 50 megapixels with a wide and an ultra-wide camera. Again, these cameras are going to be great for what they are, but they aren't going to be the top of the line because that's reserved for their ultra category of phones like the Fold 8 Ultra as well as their S26 Ultra. But what's interesting here is that the way that they've kind of positioned this in their folding lineup, right? You have the flip phone, which is going to be the cheapest one. Then you have the Ultra one, so the Fold 8 Ultra, that's going to be the more expensive one. This one kind of fits in the kind of top middle. It's kind of leaning towards that Fold 8 pricing, but I believe it's $200 cheaper, starting at $1899 for the 256GB variant. But then internally, what's nice to know is that you have the same exact Snapdragon 8 Gen 5 that you have on the Fold 8 Ultra is also in the regular Fold 8. So from a power consumption standpoint, a battery efficiency standpoint, and everything that comes with that, you're going to have basically a one-to-one comparison. And that's going to help out because even though they made this thing ultra thin and light, they were still able to fit a 4,800 milliamp hour battery in this thing. This is not silicon carbon either. They've kind of reserved that. I guess Samsung's being very careful with how they handle their battery tech. But again, it's going to be able to last you a great amount of time with that battery. And then also from a charging standpoint, you get 45 watt wired in fast charging and Qi 2.2 support with 25 watts of wireless charging. Now there's a ton of awesome software features, of course, that come with a phone like this. And when you are in the Samsung world, like Samsung had a whole slide talking about the compatibility with iPhones and how to easily transfer over, being able to keep all your iMessage group chats with RCS encrypted messaging, being able to also airdrop between devices, both to and from iOS to Android and things like that. So they are starting to play much better with iOS, but on both sides, which is great to see. But if this is anything like last year Samsung released their S25 Edge, which was their ultra thin phone, which was right before Apple announced their iPhone Air. And if they do the same thing here, Apple could be coming out with their own version of this thing when September comes around in terms of this type of form factor and size and everything that comes with that. So for one, I'm very excited to see what Apple has in terms of an answer for this, because this, in my opinion, is, like I said in the very beginning, the perfect middle ground for the type of person that is just a content consumption person, right? They watch a lot of video, they produce a lot of content, they're able to use the inner display and get much more screen realistic, because the argument always was, with something like a Fold 7 in that type of aspect ratio or the Fold 8 Ultra, when you do watch something on the internal display, you're not getting much more visually than you are from a Pro Max phone or from the S26 Ultra, because you're giving up a lot on the black bar. So now having a little bit more of a wider aspect ratio just gives you much more viewability overall when it comes to whatever content you're viewing. And also it just stretches everything that much more, but it is still very optimized for all the content that you're looking at. So let me know in the comment down below what you think. Are you excited for this new form factor? Do you think this is going to be a big hit, especially here in the US? Like I said, this one starts at $18.99 for the 256 gigabyte variant and goes up to, I believe, up to 1 terabyte. So again, this isn't going to be a cheap phone. You can get a premium slab phone for about $500 to $600 less. So I'm curious to see how this is marketed, who the target demo is for this. Is this meant to replace 2 devices? Like, does this replace your regular slab phone and then maybe a small tablet like an iPad mini? Or is it kind of the best of both worlds and they've all kind of worked together? I've always been under the assumption that when it comes to different form factors and different pieces of hardware, we're going to get to a point where everything converges, where we're going to have the same type of operating system for all of our different devices. It's just a matter of what piece of hardware you're using with that operating system. So we're going to always have the flips of the world. We're always going to have the slab phone. Now we're getting into this kind of new foldable territory, but then you also have the iPads and the tablets of the world, and then ultimately the laptops and then the desktops. They're all going to be running the same OS. It's just a matter of what's most comfortable for you in your current situations. But that'll do it. Like I said, everybody, comment down below what you think. Let me know what you want me to test out with this phone, how it plays well with iOS and macOS and everything that comes with that. I'm really excited to see this kind of come to light here in the US. Everybody outside the US is very lucky that they get a bunch of different options from different manufacturers in the folding space. Here we're kind of tied down to 2 main players, and that's kind of an unfortunate thing, but hopefully we get some more categories and some more options with the new Fold 8 from Samsung. But that'll do it, everybody. If you made it to the end, leave a little dolphin. And if you guys want to watch more videos like this one, check out one of these videos right here. Until next time, I'm Fernando. Peace.